G'day and welcome to Dave's Model Workshop. Today I'm going to be looking at and starting to build a Wingnut Wings biplane. Well, it's not even a biplane, it's a monoplane. I have not built a World War I fighter in a long time, and I've noticed over the last couple of years that there are a lot of them in model shows lately, and they tend to be exquisite because they tend to be Wingnut Wings. Yeah, so I'm here today to see, one, is it worth the money? And two, is it going to live up to all the hype? Because I've heard amazing things about them. Let's see. To start with, I have to say thank you to HobbyLink Japan, who donated this kit to me to review. From the get-go, I will say they did not ask for any kind of editorial content. They just purely said, here's a kit, have at it, tell me what you think. So yeah, thank you HobbyLink Japan. It was really easy, and yeah, I'm excited about it. So yeah, this is my next project, Wingnut Wings. It's a Fokker E4. It's a monoplane. Along the side here, you can see there's 5 different colour schemes. And yeah, first impressions of the box, let's get down to business. The box is lovely, but what's inside is more important. So, first impressions. Does it live up to the hype? The instruction booklet is pretty impressive stuff. Really comprehensive history here. I'm trying to get too much flare from the light on that. Yeah, really comprehensive history. Pretty good colours. Listings for Tamiya, Humbrol and Federal Standard colours. Yeah, all the pieces that are used and not used. But look at these full colour instructions. They're pretty impressive. And this, now I have flicked through this a couple of times already, this is what blows me away. Photographic reference in your instructions. That's pretty amazing. Think this is good? This is nothing. Let's get stuck in further. So, colours are indicated in colour. That makes life easier, definitely. The little drops that you can see there also tell you what the colours are if you refer back to your chart back here. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, nice and clear. I haven't started building it yet, so I can't say whether the instructions are easy to follow, but they certainly look easy to follow. If anything, it's slightly daunting having all these references. That's how you build the rotary engine. And then look at this, more photographic references, and they're really detailed. Let me get up close. Like, really good quality, detailed photos. You'd normally be hunting the internet to try and find those, and here they've given them to you. More stuff. I'm not going to go through every single page, but more beautiful references from actual period photographs. Turnbuckles. You want to make turnbuckles look real? That's how your real turnbuckles need to look. That's great. So yeah, am I buying into the hype? A little bit, yes. I'm impressed so far. It's, I've never seen instruction booklets like this. And it's, lovely and big, and you can get up close on the detail. Let's get some focus. Yeah, you can get up close. Look at the detail on these bad boys. It's amazing. Yeah, so I am impressed. Rigging diagram, which I am slightly scared of because I have not rigged a biplane in a long time. And again, it's not a biplane, it's a monoplane. It's part of the reason that I was, willing to tackle this one. And again, more reference photos. Colour schemes, let's do it this way. Colour schemes, full colour painting, really easy to see, and then heaps of references and heaps of actual history of the particular plane. Look at that! I love it. So yeah, look, I am pretty impressed with the depth and the precision of the instruction booklet. Love it already. Blah blah blah, heaps and heaps. You get the idea. I think this is the one I'm going to go for. Not 100% yet, but I definitely like those crosses on the fuselage, those sort of X-shaped crosses. I think that adds something. And it's got just enough weathering, and that's what amazing. Like, the weathering in the instruction illustrations matches the weathering of the period photos. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, 5 different colour schemes, heaps of refs. I am impressed. A little bit about the people who make it, and I'm also impressed just because Wingnut Wings is from New Zealand. You know, I'm from Australia. Anyone who can make a go of a model company down here in the Southern Hemisphere automatically gets a little bit of credibility from me. You know, that's no mean thing to make a going concern when you're up against Japanese, European, American brands. And these guys seem to have, you know, really captured the market for quality World War I aircraft. It was a pretty open market, but they've definitely done it. Alright, that's enough chatting about the instructions. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the interior. So I hear you ask, what is the interior like? What's the actual kit like? And I'm not going to do one of those, you know, sprue by sprue reviews. If you want one of those, I'm sure there's a million of them out there. My overall early impression, the pieces are good. Like, there's no, you know, flash, there's no casting marks to see. It's all pretty, you know, cleanly manufactured. It's pretty straightforward, pretty standard. You know, visually looking at it, you don't get a sense of, whoa, this is amazing. The only thing I will point out, there's some pretty fine work here and here. There's some quite impressively delicate moulding work going on here. I'm a bit worried about actually trimming that off the sprue. So I will give them points for, you know, their actual mouldings seem to be pretty incredibly fine. I'll give them points for that for sure. But yeah, I don't know. The proof is in the pudding. Let's get stuck in and start building. Oh, the last thing is, if I can get it out, got a set of photo etch, which looks pretty good. I think that's actually upside down, but you get the idea. So yeah, I mean, that's nice to get that included. And the decals. There's not a lot of variety. I mean, well, there's a lot of variety, but it's all basically just German crosses. I do respect, you know, it looks good. I like how there's a couple that are pre-faded. That's pretty cool. But yeah, you know, there's a lot there. It's certainly comprehensive, but I can't say it's amazing printing because it's just black and whites basically. So I'm going to get stuck in. So I've heard with Wingnut Wings that you have to be careful and not put too much paint on, in particular inside the cockpit or the two fuselage halves, because if you put too thick a layer of paint on, the tolerances are so fine that you'll actually stuff up putting it together. It needs to be fairly thin paint. So I'll bear that in mind. It's probably good to know. And if it is the case, then, you know, respect. That's pretty impressive. Or it could just be one of those, you know, things that modelers tell each other to try and be cool. I don't know. We'll find out. One last thing before I start building. I've bought two aftermarket pieces. One is a set of rigging, 0.2mm rigging, and one is a set of 0.5mm diameter hollow brass tubes. This is for the rigging, and these will be for the turnbuckles. Let's see how we go. Well, building the cockpit, one thing I will say is that Wingnut Wings, they're striving for absolute realism and absolute fidelity to their references equals, it's a massive pain in the ass. Like, it's great, I respect it, but my god, it's hard. So this is one of the sidewalls sort of frames of the cockpit, and you can see all these little pieces, all these little tabs. So this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, this big thing here, all of those have to be trimmed away to give you something more like this. So I've just spent 20 minutes trimming all those little tabs off. You can still see a tiny bit of this one here. Trimming those off. This piece here, check this out, like this piece wobbles around like that, and you can see I still need to trim a bit of it. The plastic, the pipe work is so fine. I can see why they've done it. You know, it's kept it in one piece for postage and for, you know, sending it out to customers. But wow, it's really hardcore trimming it down. So already I get a sense of this kit is a bit of a step above what you would normally expect from a kit. I'm liking it, but it's a bit hair-raising. But I respect it. This is the cockpit after about 8 or 9 days of building. It's taken a lot longer than I expected, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It really has... I had planned to kind of build this for a lot of fun and just kind of plow on through fairly fast and just, do it for enjoyment and, build quick because, it's a kit and I was in the mood for something fun. And it's kind of challenged me to not plow on through, to not be fast. It's too beautiful and too detailed and too ready for super detailing to do that. It doesn't really lend itself to that. Feels like it doesn't do justice to the kit to do that, which really surprises me. I wasn't expecting to feel that way. So the detail is pretty incredible. When I started off, I wasn't planning to put this rigging in on the cockpit. There are wires that go from the pedals all the way through underneath the seat, through the back wall here. I wasn't going to do all that. I was just going to do something fun. But the level of detail in this kit is such that if you don't do that, you're not really... Partly you're not getting your money's worth for the cost of the kit, and partly you're not doing justice to what is really beautiful engineering. So that's a good thing, I guess. Yeah, that's definitely a positive. That's definitely a case where the Wingnut Wings is worth the extra money because you are kind of forced to take it slow and enjoy it if you want to do it properly. You could rush it through, but why would you? What other pluses do I have for my first experience of a Wingnut Wings kit? And I will keep going, and I'll build the rest in the next couple of episodes of this series on Wingnut Wings on my Fokker Eindecker. What other good things does it have? The decals are pretty amazing. So I'm going to use my tweezers that I bought in Japan, my very, very fine tweezers. You can see a decal here on this little kind of windy knob thing. What you perhaps can't see straight away are the other tiny, tiny, tiny decals. This little pulley thing here, let's see if you can get it. There's a decal just there, and there's a decal just, whoa, watching on the screen. There's a decal here, and there's a decal here, either side of that little lever here. They're tiny. They're metallic. They're really, 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 really small. There's another one on the altimeter just down the bottom in there. You can see it, that round gauge. There are some more of those ridiculously tiny decals on this piece here, on this little gaugey thing here. They're really, really tiny. If you look at the joystick, there's a little red dot there. There was a decal. I'll show you a photo of it. How cool is that? It's a tiny decal. Each of those letters was about 1 millimeter high. The letters MG for machine gun. About 1 millimeter high. Sadly, that decal fell off. It was just too small to stay. I don't know, a wind blew it, something. I've been looking for it all over my desk. I can't find it. It's red. I can't find it. These other tiny, tiny, tiny decals in here. These little guys in here. They're so small. Do they bring an extra level of incredible detail to the kit? They certainly do. Do they make a difference to the kit? Yeah, I guess so, if you want to get obsessive. But in my mind, they're almost too much. They're almost ridiculous. If you had a big instrument cluster just here, yeah, go for it. But these little tiny ones on these little tiny things in here, I admire it and respect it. Is it necessary? I don't know. Is it good for the hobby? It's impressive. I don't know. You can be the judge of that. They're beautifully printed. The registration is perfect, and there's absolutely no carrier film around them. None. So they work beautifully. They're amazing. Are they necessary? Depends how pedantic and anally retentive you want to get about your kits. I mean, these are pedantic, anally retentive kits, and that's a beautiful thing. You just have to have that mindset entering into it, I guess, which I really didn't, and I'm loving it, but it's a bit, it's not what I expected. It's good, but it's pedantic. What else have we got? The plastic is amazing. So on the side walls here, you can see like this little brass tube along the edge here. So that all had to be cut out. I'll see if I can find, hang on a second. So here's an example of one from another that I didn't end up using, and it's got all these little tiny, so there's lots of spare pieces in this kit. It's got all these little tiny, nubbins that need to be cut off here from the production process. I don't even know what they're called, but the things I'm talking about, the little extraneous bits. And cutting those off, I was expecting it to shatter every single time. I was expecting, because these are like literally a millimetre, you know, sort of a millimetre wide piping. I expected them to shatter. It doesn't. This plastic that Wingnut Wings uses seems to have just enough give so that when you're cutting it off the sprue, it bends, but it doesn't shatter. So I really, really, really love that, and that's a pleasant surprise to me. Yeah, I thought I was going to be in a world of pain trying to make this work and trying to trim these fine, fine, fine pieces. But no, it's working beautifully. It's really a pleasure to work with. You kind of hold your breath and you go every time you cut it, and it doesn't bite you in the bum. So, you know, it's a real pleasure. What else? The references, look, as I said earlier, the references are amazing. But having had a little bit of time of actually using them, how to put this? They're a little bit much. They're a little bit daunting sometimes. So just for this cockpit, you get your head around it eventually. But at first you're just thinking, well, what the hell do I do? You know, where do I start? It's not just your usual plug and play. Let's look at these references again for that opening spread. Let's get some focus, perhaps would be good too. So the issue is, like, there's decals to add along the way, it's paint as you go, there's bits that need to be trimmed off. Like, it's all doable, but it's not just, you know, this is step one. It's not quite so obvious as do this, do this, do this, do this. There's so many elements and there's so much detail. You really have to have your, to use a cooking term, your mise en place in place. And I probably butchered that French. You really need to have your ducks in a row and know what you're doing and be really familiar. So I'm about to start the next steps. The bodywork is pretty simple, but the machine guns, like, it's just, you need to have your crap together, guys. You really do. So you need to have a mindset where you're ready. You can't just duck into this in an afternoon and pick it up and start playing. You know how, like, all kits say, oh, study the instructions before you get stuck in. Study them before you get stuck in, because really you can't just go in half-assed, which is my usual my usual modus operandi. I guess the last thing I wanted to say is that so far, I mean, there's a lot still to build. We've got the fuselage and the wings and all the rigging and the undercarriage and the engine, which is a little work of art in itself. I guess the thing I wanted to say is that I've been thinking about it. To me, it's like taking an exam at school in a subject you love. So I don't know about you guys. I hated maths. I did well in maths, but I hated maths. And I never took a maths test that I enjoyed. Every single time it was a struggle, it was a pain, and it was unpleasant. History. I loved history at school. Every single time I took a history test, I loved the subject, I loved the subject matter, I did well in them, but it's just not very pleasant. You know, it's a bit nerve-wracking. A Wingnut Wings kit, in my limited experience so far, based on a sample size of 1, and I'm about 1/5 of the way through it, but a Wingnut Wings kit is kind of like taking an exam in a subject you love at school. It's great, it's something you like, but it's a little bit nerve-wracking. There were so many times I held my breath, there were so many times I did the rigging, and I was like, oh, this is so nerve-wracking. You know, you don't want to stuff it up because you know it's expensive, which does enter into it, I'm being honest, and two, you know, you want to do justice to what is a beautiful piece of engineering. So I'm going to keep going with it. Would I recommend a Wingnut Wings? Absolutely. I think you should experience it once. I'm really enjoying it. Would I drop all other kits and manufacturers and only build Wingnut Wings from here on? No way, Jose. It's daunting, and it's hard work, you know? It's satisfying. It's immensely satisfying, but it's hard work compared to just picking up a kit and bang, 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 wham, bam, thank you, man. So yeah, look, tune in for the next episode. I'll be moving on to the fuselage and the engine. And yeah, I'll keep it coming. I wanted to say once again thanks to HobbyLink Japan for providing this kit to me. I've really enjoyed starting it, and yeah, I've been a customer of theirs for a while, and I've always found them a pleasure to deal with, and reliable and honourable. So yeah, if you're ever in the market for a kit that's hard to find, give HobbyLink Japan a call, or check their website. More importantly, don't give them a call, check their website, because they are pretty good. Alright guys, I hope this has been helpful to you. If you've got any questions or comments, please chime in below. Otherwise, keep your eyes peeled for the next installment of my Fokker Eindecker, and I'll keep it coming, and I'll try not to get too nerve-wracked. I mean, look at that. It's amazing. It's pretty incredible. I'm loving it. But it's daunting. But it's fun. But it's daunting. But it's fun. Alright guys, see you next time. Catch you later on Dave's Model Workshop.